All right, I think we are live and we're happening, right? Everyone can hear me, see me okay? We're all good? All right. So, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you might be joining us from. Thank you for being here. We are very grateful to have all of you from all around the world join us for this very special webinar. And we have quite the crew here to take us in. So I am going to share screen. So give me just a second and then we'll introduce ourselves. And let's see. I'm going to go full screen. And share my screen. All right, there. Okay, we are up and running. Like I said, thank you for joining. This is our UNO platform hot design Ask the Anything webinar. There are a lot of things I think to be excited about, with .NET development. At this point, we think, UNO platform has a lot to offer for cross-platform .NET, and in particular, hot design makes developers super, super productive. So that's where we want to just dive in and not just talk the talk, but actually show you as much of code and as many demos as we can. And it's also your chance to ask us any questions. Now, for those of you who are coming in pre-registered, you've had a chance to ask some questions, and we have some really good questions that we would like to address as we are showing you demos. But if you're watching this live, we are simulcasting to X and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitch. So all the places and social as well. So if you're watching this live, if you have a burning question like, how do I actually do this with hot design? Or, can I really pull this off for my app? Please ask away. This is your time to ask away any questions. And we are giving away some free licenses to UNO Platform Studio. So that's something we'll announce towards the end. So thank you for joining, and let's get this rolling. So first up, let's do some intros. We did bring quite a rock star team here. These are some amazing engineers, and I'm going to be your MC for the day. Tiny bit intimidated in the presence of such smart people, but here we are. So let's go around the room and do a quick round of intros, starting with you, Nick.
Hey everyone, so Nick, I'm part of the hot design team. Surprisingly enough, I'm not sure that I fall into the rockstar category, but I'll leave that to the rest of the team. But yeah, great to be here, and feel free to ask all the questions you have. Yep. Steve, up to you.
Yes, Steve. Hello. My name is Steve. I'm one of the engineers on the UNO platform team, sort of working on hot design, working on Toolkit, working on other libraries around the ecosystem of UNO platform. So yeah, happy to be here, happy to answer some questions and have some fun. Next up, Martin.
Yep, I'm Martin. I'm working on the core platform, so working on the controls and everything that's built in to UNO platform. So that's my role, and up to you, Andres.
Thank you, Martin. And Nick, by the way, you are a rockstar for me. And I guess for all of us. So Andres Pineda, I'm part of the core team. I work in different areas on UNO platform, specialize on iOS and macOS part, but also have the chance and the opportunity to work in other interesting parts of UNO. Back to you, Sam.
No, thank you. And I'm Sam Basu, probably the newest kid here. I have seen UNO platform do amazing engineering over the last decade or so. I'm the newest on the team, so happy to join just a wonderful group of folks. And we are pushing the envelope on what's next with cross-platform.net. So as we are streaming, lots of our friends are joining us from all around the world. Hello from France, Canada, Montreal, Toronto. That's where a lot of our friends are. Dominican Republic, more Canada, and there's Francois, hello, and lots of our friends here, UK. Yeah, so we are across so many time zones, which is amazing to see. All right, so let's get rolling more on our content here. So let's get back to the slides here. And we'll keep just the slides to a very brief amount of time, maybe 5 minutes, just to get everyone on the same page. So I'm an old man, and I've been doing .NET for a long time. This is a classic Microsoft slide that many of you may have seen. So modern.NET is amazing. It's a great place to be. It's modern, it's cross-platform, it's open source. What's not to like? And tooling is great across Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. It is when we start pushing .NET to its limits and we are trying to take it to places, and that's when you start seeing some gaps. Perhaps you want your .NET code to be working on certain platforms that you don't normally have access to. And perhaps you wish your tooling was a little bit better. Visually, cross-platform development is complex, so it really helps to have visual tools as we are, building those apps. And I think that's where, UNO Platform comes in. So, Steve, let me start with you. What is UNO Platform to you? Really quick, high level.
Yeah, right. So UNO Platform is, at the core there, we have our cross-platform development framework, right? That allows us to build your UI, have it run on every platform you can think of, every operating system you can think of. But on top of that, it's at this point like an ecosystem, right? Like it's a whole platform. So you see at the top there, we have things like themes, extensions, toolkit, we have third parties, we have tooling, and all that sits sort of on top of the main core framework. So like what Martin was talking about, we have that's where his bread and butter is, that UI framework. Sitting below that now is the renderers, right? So it's just we have multiple ways of attacking cross-platform UI integration into the systems, whether you want to render natively or using a common unified Skia rendering system. And at the same time, we've built layers on top of that for how you want to define your UI, whether you want to do that with XAML, whether you want to do that with C#. So that whole chunk of it right there is what makes up the platform called UNO Platform. That's free, that's open source. And we really sit on the shoulders of giants with .NET, being able to be built for all these platforms, and we utilize that and we help them push the envelope forward. It's just a very large sort of ecosystem that's just growing and growing. So yeah.
Yeah, no, well said. To me, what stands out in this stack is just the flexibility, like a single shared source code that just goes to, iOS, Android, WebAssembly for all of your browsers, and then Windows, Mac OS, Linux, you name it. And just the flexibility of using Skia renderers, like when you want your apps to look pixel perfect on every platform, or maybe you want to go native UI. So you have a lot of choice. And on top of it, like Steve was saying, we build tooling that makes you, ultra productive. So there is, a lot happening with UNO Platform as an ecosystem. This is for you to build next generation of cross-platform .NET apps, and you have all the ammunition to be very successful. Start with any IDE. So Visual Studio, VS Code, Rider, you name it, on whichever OS that you're on. It's great to get started. We have UNOCheck, our terminal commands, which will help you get set up. Lots of templates, lots of VS Code and Visual Studio extensions to get you started. Once you're in the mix of things, you have choice of C# or XAML markup. You have choice of design patterns like MVVM or MVUX. You have extensions. All the UI that you can think of, from WinUI, .NET MAUI, third-party ecosystems, everything is welcome. Theming is welcome. And you get to run your apps super fast with unified rendering. You can do CI/CD. So the whole story is well flushed out. But for me, what stands out is the thing at the top, the developing visually. Because coming from Windows desktop days, we miss having a visual designer to be able to build our apps, to be able to quickly iterate on our app UI. Because how frustrating it is to make a single line of change, be it in your markup or code, and then just have to rebuild your app and deploy, and over this cycle repeats itself. So, we can clearly do better on that stack. So, and again, if you are working with designers, if you have that luxury, your Figma designs should come over pixel perfect to your UI. So we are hoping that we have, a story for all across the, app life cycle as you're building it. And we have a lot of momentum. You look at NuGet downloads, you look at interactions on social media, and please come and join us on Discord. Everything is trending up. Lots of customers building real world successful apps with UNO Platform. So you're coming into, like Steve said, a very, very rich ecosystem. However, we can do better. And that's where Hot Design comes in. This is the next gen visual designer for all things cross-platform .NET. So I'll start with you, Nick. Tell us a little bit about Hot Design.
Yeah, so hot design came, as you pointed out, Sam. I mean, we've all been through the sort of the churn of various visual designers. I'm sure that we've been progressively burnt from WinForms all the way through to UWP of various sort of static designers. And whilst they are great for your hello worlds of apps, they very quickly deteriorate, both in terms of the complexity of the screen develops. It becomes harder and harder to align things during design time, but also the lack of data and the fact that you then have to come up with mock data or design time data and all of that stuff basically means that very quickly deteriorates. And for like larger applications, you just don't end up using the designer at all. So you end up having to manually code XAML, which it was never designed for. I mean, it's a great markup language, but it was never designed for humans to read it. It's designed for computers to read it. And so what we're trying to achieve with Hot Design is the ability to give you that designer, but just try to plug some of the holes that traditional designers would have had in the past. So it is what we call a runtime designer. So basically when you launch your application, you can then toggle it into Hot Design. And so you're making changes to your running app. And those designs are persisted back to XAML. And so you can iterate over the design of your app without having to stop, recompile, run your app, and all of the shabazz that goes with it. So we're finding it's a much more productive environment for working on individual layouts, maybe tuning things, but everything from starting from scratch all the way through to that fine tuning at the end can be done through Hot Design. So
yeah, well said. And we believe that developer productivity is going to be skyrocketing once you start getting into Hot Design and seeing what it can do. So speaking of which, shall we actually getting into seeing things rather than just talking about it, right? So let me come out of my slides here. So I still have my window or my screen shared. So let me be the one to start things off. And I'm going to go super simple. And then we will let the actual engineers show you the real stuff. So let me bump up my fonts here a little bit. So what I'm showing you here is stuff that you can get started really quickly. So let me pull up a new window here, and I'm going to go to platform.uno. You can see all the things that were talked about, the entire application lifecycle. Start with the docs. That's usually a great place to understand how the whole platform works, how Hot Design works. And we have lots of these samples and tutorials right here. So you don't have to build something from scratch. There are lots of places where you can just see, okay, how is MVVM done? How is MVUX done? How do I get started with Hot Design on a realistic app? So we have given you all of this to kind of get you started. So play around with this and then start building your next amazing thing. So if I can have the Counter app open here. So I'm on a Mac here. You're going to see today Mac OS, Windows, and Linux. So we're going to cover the whole gamut of experiences. So this is super simple. So I have a main page XAML with a little bit of XAML. Again, like Nick said, it depends a little bit on your experience. Like we love XAML, but maybe you don't, and you can only have to see as much of it as you want. That's the point of it. So on this one here, let's just go ahead and change it to desktop. And again, notice how I can run the same app on iOS, Android, WebAssembly. And I'm going to go into actually running the app here. Let's make sure desktop is selected, and I'm just going to fire this away. So at this point, it picks up the workloads, does the build, and you have lots of choices here on what the UI needs to be. But this is just the Hello World experience. So me being on a Mac, I get just the desktop app here, and this is the classic counter stepper, and I can step through it. It increments by size by the step count. But here, if I hit the Hot Design fire icon here, then I'm into my Hot Design mode. And this is a key thing to understand, that the app has not stopped running. We are transforming a running app along with all of its data into a design surface. So now you can do everything that you want, and whatever you do here in Hot Design translates back to C# and XAML, which is the nice thing. So up front, again, like all of the engineers will show you all of the intricacies of it, but this is just the very basics of it. I get a nice list of all the UI that I can just drop in and bring into my app. This is my element visual tree. So exactly in XAML, like what are the things, what are my parent and child containers? Show me everything. And once I select something, I get to see all of my options, all of the properties for that particular UI element. I can search, I can bring up all of the properties, not just the smart ones here. But some of the things that I really like, just the basics of it, is let's say you're building up an app UI and you want your layout to be just perfect. You want your grids and your charts and your stack layouts to line up exactly right. So here's one of my first things to do, and that I really love, is I can hold down the command key and then I'm selecting multiple UI elements, right? So here you can see the common properties is what's being shown here. So what if I wanted this to be 20, right? And you can see it's spacing, it's changing things as we go. And this would be replicated in a running app. You can see the spacing change up here. And again, whatever I do here goes back into XAML. So again, I can change things on the fly, and I can close this, and now my app is back to running again. And if I close down the app itself, you're going to see that it made the changes back into XAML where it was. And then this was a margin of 10, which we started out, right? So just the hello world experience, you can stay in your app. And again, if you're running this on a mobile simulator, then you can step away into a separate window, but your app never stops running. So it's just a two-way street between your app and the UI that you're putting on it. So again, just a hello world thing, all of your colors, the basic properties, margins, different types of widths and backgrounds, brushes, you can change them all. So I think we had a couple of questions on that. So getting that out of the way right away. Let's show you a little bit more of a hello world app. Again, my examples are really basic. Wait till you get to the really good examples that Steve and Martin and Nick have brought in. What I wanted to do was just to get a hello world app going, right? And for mobile apps in particular, a lot of the times it is a list of things, right? Almost every app shows you a list of things. So I wanted to hit a cloud API, some sort of API that I can bring down some data and play with it, and try to change my app up and design my app in Hot Design. So here's my go-to whenever I'm just looking around for APIs. I don't know if many of you use this. This one here is called the JSON placeholder, and it's just a nice API set. It's got different types of API endpoints like post, comments, albums, photos, and things like that. And they, in fact, also support HTTP GET, put, post, and delete. Like I think they refresh every hour or so. So it's a really nice place to play around. So if I go into posts, you can see that it's giving me back some JSON, and this actually happens to be in Latin. And I want to bring this to my app just to kind of get started, right? So this is where I started out in a simple Hello World platform app. The engineers might frown a little bit at this because I'm not doing true MVVM, but I'm just trying to get this going. So I have an observable collection of posts, and posts are pretty much exactly what my data object should be. And I am using a shared HTTP client, and I'm making a HTTP GET call to that particular URI. And this is all async and await all the way through. So I'm getting back an observable collection of posts. And once I do, I am, again, you should not probably be newing up a view model, but I'm just doing it for a quick demo here. And when my page loads up or it's being navigated to, I want to go and fetch the data and then bind it to my list view. Now, this list view here that you see, this is what it starts out being with just a simple text block that says, hello, Uno platform. But I did not want to write this piece of code. I mean, sure, I can, but I wanted to do this all in Hot Design. So let's go back here to a desktop debug mode. And I'm going to make sure I have desktop selected here, and I fire this off. So when the app starts up, when it gets to the first view, it's going to try hitting that cloud service, right? So here's the app running on desktop, and I can move this to, mobile or other things as well, which is also another nice thing to actually show. So this is the running app. You see the Hello platform here, and this is just the list of posts that it came back. So if I go into Hot Design here, one of the things you will see is like this is the desktop view, but you can change this up. So you can, run this. First up, you can toggle the theme, right? So application brushes automatically support light and dark theme. So you can start there, and then you can customize more as you want. You can change up what this app looks like. Like here is a narrow form factor, like in a phone. here is perhaps like a tablet form factor, here's like a laptop form factor. So right out of the gate, like it gives you a visual representation of how your app looks like across multiple platforms and multiple devices. So if I let's just stick with this, and if I go into Hot Design here, this is the list view, right? That's showing me. Here's the beauty of it. This is all runtime, right? Because you have pulled some data in it, so I can go into the list view, and it shows me here I am bound to this collection of post list view. It's bound to this item source of a collection of posts. But the beauty is I can go into the item template, and now you see each individual item. Like I had it in bold, and I had the next one in a paragraph. So I can literally iterate through each of the items in my collection. And for each of the templates that I'm trying to edit, like that's a text box, I can change up the colors and the brushes and everything about the text box. So I can design my app while I'm actually running it with live data, right? So that's the big draw here. And hopefully you see how immediately it makes you so much more productive. There is no hit an F5, wait for 2 minutes, and hopefully your app builds and deploys. This is your app is running. And if you have your view models and everything wired up, you can change up the source and how it binds and how the templates look like for each item in your app right on the fly, right? So huge productivity benefits, if you ask me. So while I've been talking, any other questions, Nick, that come to mind right off the bat?
No, you've done an awesome job of running through templates. I mean, we did get some questions about the editing, like how the more complex templates and user controls and things like that work. But I'm happy to do a quick demo to that.
Yeah, why not switch gears, and I'll go back and look at questions while we're doing this. So Nick, over to you, and I'm going to bring up your desktop. There you go. You're up and running.
So this is actually the Commerce Demo app that we have in our samples repository. And I wanted to pick this one because it uses a combination of MVUX coupled with some of our sort of navigation patterns. And what's really interesting is that this comparatively simple screen that just shows a list of deals actually has a little bit of complexity behind it when you start to drill in and take a look. And I just wanted to show this as an example of how complex how we can deal with complexity, and specifically how we can deal with things like nested templates and nested user group controls, etc. So when I go into Hot Design edit mode, you see the standard layout that Sam was showing. One option that he didn't mention is the ability to zoom in and zoom out. Because it is a designer space, I can actually just hold down Command if you're on Mac, or Control if you're on Windows, and that allows me to zoom. Quite often, I find that I like to have it in auto fit, so it'll basically, as I resize my screen, it'll actually accommodate that from a design perspective. But let's just drill into the template that I was looking for. So we basically, this list that we've got here, if I scroll down over here, you'll actually see that this is actually a feed view. So this is coming from MVUX. And so basically a feed view has different states or different templates for the different states that it can be in. So, this happens to be, we have data, so it's in the value state. And so if I want to drill down and take a look at that, I can actually just right click on it and go edit the value template. Okay, so now I've gone one layer into template editing mode. So now I'm editing a value template for my feed view. And so what I've got here, let me scroll over here, is basically inside that template, I've now got a user control that actually makes up the majority. So the way that Commerce has been laid out has a user control as the bulk of that. And then inside that user control, we actually have a list of items. And so I can actually drill further into this and go, okay, well, now I want to edit the user control. So when I click on that, now I'm 2 levels down. I'm in the value template, and now I'm in the user control. And now I have a list of items, and as Sam demonstrated, I can now go in and edit the item template. So Sam showed this from the property grid, where you can go edit item template, but you can actually just right click on it and go edit item template. And again, that's going to take me into the item template. So he says, with it not actually taking him to the item template, let me try that again. There we go. I must have backed out. So let me just zoom out. So now we're editing the individual items that are in that vertical list that we were seeing. And as Sam showed, I can navigate forward and backward between those. And then from the top here, if I want to step back, I can progressively step back through from the item template back to the user control, back to the value template, and then back to the running application. Or I could just do that and skip right back to the running app. So that's just an example of how complex things can get and how Hot Design actually deals with some of that complexity. Now, I mentioned user control editing, and so I've got a different example for that. Let me just close down that. And so here I'm actually going to show Chefs, which is another one of our reference sample apps. You'll see this a couple of times in the demos today. And here, what I'm going to do is actually show you on our welcome screen, we actually have a user control that represents each of the panes in this flip view. And I'm just going to go in and make a very simple change here, just to show how we can do user control editing, and specifically how when you make a change to user control and you step back out, it actually applies that everywhere that user control is being used. Okay, so we have our user control, which is just here. So if I select on that, you'll see that over here, we've got our welcome view. You can actually see that there's 3 instances of this user control here. And again, I can either right click on this or I can click the edit button to go into edit user control mode. And I'm just going to make a very simple change by setting a max width on here. So I'll do max width of say 400. And so that's going to constrain that the bounds of that text block. And as I step back out of there, you'll see that that's been applied to the page. And if I go into interaction mode, so this little toggle here just lets me interact with the app, you can actually see that that has been applied everywhere through the various instances of that user control. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the complexity that we can deal with in terms of templates and the ability for us to do user control editing. So back to you, Sam, if you've got another question lined up for us.
Yeah, we do. By the way, this is Uno Chefs, and it's a really polished app, that's real world, meant to have all of the complexity that, you folks will encounter when you're building it. And we'll have a link to that, so you can all, download this. You can play around with it. All of the source code is open, so you can see how we built it. Now, you did answer the question. One of the submitted questions was, how do we edit complex, data templates? So I think that one was pretty well answered there with what you showed, Nick. Question here from the chat room here. What if you were doing like a responsive view? Like what if you wanted a certain template for desktop, maybe a different template for mobile? Is that something you can achieve?
Yeah, look, absolutely. And so, in fact, this works for anything that has templates defined on it. So for example, on a list view, you might have a header template and a footer template. You can go and edit those the same way. With responsive view, you have different templates for the different breakpoints, and you can absolutely go and edit those. And actually, as you showed before, by switching to the various design modes, so basically changing the screen size, you can actually force it to use the specific template. And then when you go and edit that template, then obviously you can see the impact of making those changes. So. Yeah.
And another question from the chat room, and I'm going to take a stab at answering this, but I think I'll let you weigh in more, Nick. But you understand that the visual tree that we're dealing with is XAML. So while Uno Platform will give you the choice of doing C# or XAML for your markup, Nick, I want to say this is XAML.
It is, yes. The support here is predominantly for XAML. And so, that really powers the nuts and bolts of how we do the persistence of the changes that you make all the way back to the source code. Yeah.
And I think, if we look at telemetry and usage of XAML, predominantly for .NET apps that are running on Mac, Windows, iOS, Android, it is predominantly XAML as the markup. But again, more power to you if you're using C# as in a fluent way, if that's what you want to roll with. But all of the visual designer, like if you come from old school, Windows Form or WPF, you understand like the visual markup is the thing that we're dealing with. So Hot Design is all about XAML.
Yeah, and I would just say, the fundamental goal of Hot Design is that you should be reading and writing XAML much less by the time when you're actually using Hot Design. Ideally not at all. I can't remember how to do a storybook to save my life, but we're not there yet. So
there you go. So and that's the thing I'm trying to get used to. Not write XAML by hand. In fact, not even look at it. Yeah. If I can do all of my UI entirely in Hot Design, then I'm golden. Because it does get verbose if you are used to writing it a lot.
It does. Yeah.
So Nick, one more question for you before maybe we switch gears here. So all of this that you're showing, like let's just say I have Uno Platform Studio, which, by the way, is the thing that makes you productive, that gives you hot design, that gives you hot reload, and Figma to C# and XAML. So let's just say I am all set with my account. What if I wanted to do this? And let's just say I am not making a web UI call, like I'm not pulling down any cloud data. I just want to work with some data that's local. Can I take this on a plane or somewhere I do not have connectivity and work offline?
Yeah, I mean, look, we do cache the account credentials and stuff like that, and so long as you've done the things like downloading the SDK and stuff like that before you hop on the plane, then sure, the whole lot of this is designed to work offline.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so thank you for that, Nick. We might come back to you with some more questions, but why don't we switch gears here to Steve? So let me bring down Nick's desktop. And Steve, if you're up and ready, let's bring you on. Oh, look at that, fancy.
Okay, so basically some of the questions that we saw coming in were sort of floating around, like how do you can use hot design with custom user controls, with all the things coming out of the box with Uno. What about third-party controls, third-party components, things coming from external assemblies, NuGet packages, all that. And so that's what we're going to do today. We'll show it how we do that in Chefs, because we do that, and how hot design totally supports all of that.
So while you're doing that, Steve, can I just expand on what you just said, because I think that's important for everyone to understand. In terms of your app UI, please do not rediscover the wheel. There is a lot out there, so you should not be creating a chart or a grid or a map by hand, because there is a lot of things that you can reuse. So correct me if I'm wrong here. Everything that you use in WinUI as a UI stack, it's welcome in Uno Platform. Anything if you have used in UWP, it's welcome. So pretty much anything from Windows Community Toolkit to WinUI, UWP, as well as .NET MAUI, we can embed that as well. So all of your third-party UI, like from the third-party vendors like Telerik or Syncfusion and DevExpress and Infragistics, everything is welcome. So you can imagine like we are broadening our stance here, opening up and just welcoming everybody with a big hug. So whatever UI that you want to bring, it's all welcome. So with that, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we're going to be doing, so Chefs itself hosts a few external third-party controls, some of which Andres is going to show you with charts, and I'll show you with maps. And so there's some really, really great libraries out there. So like what we're going to do is Mapsui is what we're going to be using. So we've been working a lot with them, collaborating them. They have a 5.0 coming out that's going to be supporting a lot of great stuff with Uno. And so that's what we're going to use today. So in the Chefs app that we had just seen previously, at the bottom of the app, actually, there's a list of these popular contributors, right? And next to it, or over here, we have this near me. And what we're going to do is we're going to implement what is actually supposed to be happening on this page. So if I click near me now, we get nothing. And so what I want on this page is a map, and I want to show where I am on the map, and around me, where are the popular contributors located based on whatever mock data. So we don't have anything right now. And if I looked at the XAML quickly, we'll jump back. This is our map page right now. So basically, it's just an auto layout, which is a toolkit control that is hosting the navigation bar at the top, and there's nothing else here. So this is why we need our map. Oh, there it is. Okay. So if I enter into hot design mode, I'm just going to make this bigger, and I'm going to, oh, it is already auto fit. Good. Okay. I'm going to bring your attention to two things. So the first, what we had seen before, is our elements tree here. So we have a live view of all the elements on our page. And just like I had shown before, we have our map page, and that auto layout is wrapping our single element. And so that auto layout will now be hosting our map control. And so what I'm going to do here is we'll go back up, and I'll expand this to the toolbox. And so the toolbox up here, like we had seen before, it has a list of all the UI components that are coming out of the box from Uno Core and everything that's available to you there. But it also has the ability to give you things that are external to the core library, right? So here it would be at a project level, you'd have the custom controls that are actually customized to this specific project in Chefs. So it's able to determine what those are and bubble is up to you in a different sort of section. And then we have custom, right? So, and this is where I mentioned we had references to live charts, we had references to Mapsui, and we had references to these other external assemblies that it's able to discover these UI elements or these controls, and it's able to bubble these up into your toolbox and allow you to use them. So I just want to reiterate here, we're not actually, so the people at Mapsui, at live charts, at all these places, they didn't have to do anything. There's nothing extra they need to do in their assemblies or in their libraries to say, hey, I want this to show up in Hot Design. I want this to be usable. Hot Design does all the hard work of looking into these external assemblies, finding what is available as UI components, and bringing that to the user to be able to use. So what I want to do is basically use this map control that's coming from our Mapsui assembly here. So I could just drop it in, and nothing shows up. That's good. So there are two things that need to be done. We need to do a couple things in the property editor. And so the first of which is we're just going to give this map control right here. You'll see it's now living inside that auto layout. We need to give this map control a name, because the code behind for the map page is already all wired up to find the instance of the map control with the specified name and load the proper tiles and the proper pins and put them on the map with the mock data and all that fun stuff. So all we really need to do here is we just got to jump with the map control selected here if we just look at the identity section of our property grid, there's the name. And so that's where we're going to be setting the X name. And I think I just needed to call it map control. And it should update, and it should kick up. This is the first update we're doing in the app, so it's going to take a second or two. And there we go. And so it has updated now, and you'll see in this auto layout, again, the map controls here, and now it actually detected, we actually giving it an actual name. So I named it the same as the name of the control, but you can name it whatever you want. And the last thing we want to do is get this to fill the space. So right now it's just not given any space to stretch, so you're not seeing anything. And what's really cool about this, so if I bring your attention over to the toolbox, let me see if I can get this there. We're in like the smart section right now, right? And what I had shown before is that we're inside of this auto layout as our parent container or layout container. So Hot Design is smart enough to know, okay, depending on the context of where you are in the app, what control you have selected, what are your parent controls, and all that, it's able to actually show what it thinks are the properties you would most likely want to use and fiddle with and play with. So it detects that, yes, we are inside of an auto layout. So here are the attached properties that you can attach onto children of auto layouts to change their alignments, change their stretches, and all that stuff. Same sort of idea where you have a grid.row or a grid.column if you're in a grid. So all I need to do is switch this primary alignment for my map control to stretch, and we'll let that kick in. And we now have this nice map that's set up. And since the hot reload has kicked in and everything, when I added the name to the map control, it's found that instance, it's loaded the tiles, it's loaded the pins and everything on from the mock data, and we can actually just go into interaction mode, so we can start using it, and it's working just fine. So we can click on our pins, we have it all interactable, we can zoom in, zoom out, and that is that. So the only thing I wanted to show you after is we can leave Hot Design. Our app is there. It's persisted. The changes are all there. This is the running app. And if we looked at our XAML now, you'll notice that there's a small difference. There's actually a map control that has been put there by Hot Design. And it has our primary alignment stretch, and it has our X name set to map control. And so that is just a little tidbit of using a third-party library to just bring in a control and have it look beautiful.
Yeah, no, this is beautiful. And it applies to your own custom-built user controls. So anything that is reusable across multiple, screens of your app, or maybe even multiple apps, like you want to save it off and reuse, all of this applies. Very cool. Steve, can I ask you a question here that came in from one of our registrants here? What if we have, built up, some custom styles? Perhaps in our XAML, or maybe we are using like a certain resource dictionary. Can I bring that into Hot Design?
Yeah. So, well, all of you, if you've defined resources or static resources or styles and all that, those can come. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Yes, those are all discoverable as the resources within your application. So let's see if am I out of this? Do I have it here? But anyway, you can go here, and within like this map, if you were to have a style for it, you could have it here, and it would here implicit style, and then you could it would automatically find anything that's target typing what you've selected, and it'll show all the resources that are targeting that specifically. And the one thing I forgot to mention is there is zero effort, like I mentioned, for these controlled vendors or controlled libraries to have them show up in Hot Design. But we do have tooling that is able for you to, if you would like to customize, if you'd like to have multiple options of your map control with different snippets of XAML that should get implemented when you drag it in, that's obviously something you can do and customize using the Hot Design bits. But out of the box, it'll do it for you, just as the best guess of just placing in an empty element,
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'm looking at the time here. Time flies when you're having fun. So, Steve, how about we bring down your desktop and we let maybe Martin, if you're ready, for Martin to go
We
next.
can do that, yeah.
All right, you are
Of
up.
course. Yeah, I'll just show you a little sneak peek of our next release that's coming very soon.
Ooh.
I cannot announce the date, but it's very, very soon. And specifically, it will contain a very big update to our built-in control called TabView, which is a very much requested control for line of business applications, because you often want to display multiple different things in your application and work in parallel on multiple different workloads, for example. And many companies are requesting that. So we are updating the TabView control to bring more features, and I will show you how it works in Hot Design as well. This is going to be a simple, quick demo, but it kind of shows you how you can apply a Hot Design to every single control that's built in. So here I have the tab view with 3 tabs. Actually, let me show you that I can switch between tabs, select different tabs. It has different content so that you can see what it actually changes. But I will go back to Hot Design here, and I will show you how you can quickly customize the tab. So I can, for example, here, change the header of the tab to something like, hello, everyone. And you can see it changes the tab in the preview. And I can then also do things like change the background. So let's see. One favorite, whoever remembers MonoDevelop, or how was it called? Monogame, right? Monogame. Mm-hmm. That was the name. They used the cornflower blue color. That's the classic blue color from all the .NET based games. So here we go. And I can actually also set the icon of that tab. So if I go to icon source, I can set that icon to be a symbol icon. And then let's use a symbol of, for example, home, because we want it to feel like home. So if I do that, we should be, let's go back to running app. Maybe if we apply it, yes. So we can see here the icon change to the home icon, because this is the home tab that I want to show. Of course, the weird thing is that home tab is not the first tab in the selection, and that's easy to fix because tab view is a control that allows drag and drop. And I can actually do the reordering as in multiple different ways. I can do the reordering directly in Hot Design, which I can do here. If I edit this, I can move the tab upwards. So now the tab is in the first place. But I also can just exit Hot Design and do reordering by the functionality of the tab view itself. You can reorder tabs. So I can do it at runtime, which is because it's a built-in feature of the control itself. Now, the home tab is something that we want to be displayed every single time. So one important thing that you should do with a home tab is to make sure it's not closable. So there is a property that allows you to make it not closable. And if I tap this, you can see that now the tab does not have the close button. So the user will not be able to close it accidentally, because that's something that you want to be displayed every single time. So that's another nice feature. And one new feature that we also added in this release is the tab sizing, because you can see now the tabs are sized equally. So each tab has the same width, but it's kind of wasting space. So what I can do is to go to tab view and change the width tab with mode here, and that tab with mode property allows you to select either compact sizing or size to content. If I do size to content, for example, you can see that the tabs are now exactly as big as they need to be so that they can display the content that you set it to contain, and also they don't waste space if you want to add more tabs. So that's the kind of quick preview of our next release and the new features that are coming to TabView and that you will be able to use in your line of business applications.
Yeah,
so
pretty
that's
cool.
it for me.
So Martin, if you go back to Hot Design for just one quick second here, I want to highlight something that you have been using and Steve mentioned. So if you select a UI element and if you look at all the properties, like the smart view brings 90% of the things that you would commonly want to edit, but you're not limited to it. Like you can switch to all, and then you see all of the properties, and there's a search bar right up there. So you can if you know exactly what you're looking for, you can search and you can get to it quick.
Yeah, that's a nice thing that when you actually select something that's not in the smart view and you change the value, so you send something custom there, you can go back to smart view and you can see that the property was added there. So everything you actually adjust or change will also show up in the smart view because you now you are expected to maybe modify it again. So we kind of show it directly in the smart view this way.
Yeah, indeed. So Martin, while I have you here, let's try to answer two questions that came in from the chat room here and the registrations. I feel this one here depends a little bit on individuals. Like you have the choice here, but for you, like what's the best workflow? Would you prototype your UI first in the designer, or would you do code first?
Yeah, that feels like a kind of personal question. But I think like it's a mix of both because it depends on the workflow that you're currently in. Because if you are currently prototyping some new screen, I'm usually going to Hot Design because it's easier to drag and drop and see the results of what I'm doing right away. But if I'm doing something that's more repetitive, I go to Visual Studio and maybe use GitHub Copilot to suggest some code for me, and then I will see it when I save it. I will see it in the running application using Hot Reload. So because of the two-way connection between the running application and your Visual Studio instance or whatever IDE you are using, you can use both modes in a kind of a mixed way in whichever scenario it feels more appropriate. So if you are prototyping with AI, then you can start in IDE and see the results in the running app. And conversely, if you are prototyping yourself and trying some variations of your design, it's best to start with Hot Design, and your changes will be preserved in code.
Yeah. Nick, if you are still around, let me ask you maybe the same question, but with a different twist. Like chat room here is asking, like, what if you're editing, styles really quickly? So what's your go-to?
Yes, so currently styles are something that are still done in the IDE. We obviously, on an individual element basis, you can go and customize the look and feel. We do obviously encourage the use of styles, as Steve mentioned. So they're highlighted at the top, so it gives you the ability to specify a style. So rather than having 15 different styles, like 15 different sort of font sizes for your various texts, you can go and apply sensible styles across the board. And we very much took the approach that out of the box, that we already have two sort of themes. We already have Fluent and Material, and so those are very well supported in Hot Design. So out of the box, you already have a bunch of styles built in, ready to go. And so we try to prioritize the workflow of trying to build out screens as quickly as you can, and with a view that down the line we will do things like extract to style and style editing and stuff like that. Things that we view that developers will do probably less frequently, but not to say that they're not as important. So,
yep, makes sense. Okay, I am looking at the time here. We got 10 minutes left. So Martin, how about we take your desktop down? And Andres, you've been waiting patiently to make us all look bad with your Linux as your desktop. So I want to bring up your machine. So up and running you go.
Right. Thank you, Sam. Amazing presentation from the team. So it's Linux time. And I don't know if you have seen a push in the different socials, in Twitter, specifically X, where there's a push for Linux on the desktop. I truly believe that this is gonna be the Linux on the desktop, and I'm eager to see it happen. I've been a Mac user for the most part of my life, professional part of life, and here we are working on Linux. So, but this specific presentation is not to inspire you to go to Linux, but if you're already in Linux, we want to show you what is the experience at Uno and Hot Design and all the greatness of .NET in your Linux box. If you're already there, so follow me. So we can have the same experience that we've seen from the other presentations by either using Writer or by using Visual Studio Code. But either of those editors are gonna give you the things that we need, that you need in order to have your Uno application and your .NET application running. So for Hot Design, I'm gonna be using the same project that we've seen before. Basically, we've seen Chef, and just to recap, it's basically the same. We enter into Hot Design, hitting on the flame, and then once you are in Hot Design, you can move around the different pages. So we Hot Design. Let me for some reason it's not clicking. I need to disable this. I don't want to add now. All right, let me just do this again. Probably is something's going on on my Windows. What? Okay, let's do something really quick. It seems that I was waiting for too long and decided not to show. So I'm gonna just run it again. Probably that's the reason why, because it wanted me to show you that like the full experience, clicking on play, clicking on run, and compiling the application. And the demo that I want to show you this morning is pretty close to what Steve was showing. Basically, we have from a Linux computer, and we're gonna launch the Hot Design, and we're gonna see how we can interact with the custom control. In this case, Steve was showing the maps, but he mentioned that this application has different other controls. In this specific case, I'm gonna be showing the live chart. The main part of the demo is gonna be how we can bind information, change not only the UI but also the data. So, okay, so we have the application running. This is what we were expecting, and Hot Design is not enabled yet, but we're gonna do that in a second. To enable Hot Design is pretty much what we saw from Sam, Nick, and the rest of the team. This is the beautiful application. Before, I can actually, just so you can see, when I start the Hot Design, this is the error that I had earlier. I hope that it doesn't get the error now. It is this Windows is making me. Let's give it a second. It seems that.
So while you figure that out, can we have Nick answer a couple more questions?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, and Chefs, by the way, is a beautiful and a gorgeous app. We'll have a link in the deck, so all of you can go get it. But Nick, there was a question from one of the registrants about how well does Hot Design handle large, like real-world large projects with lots of views and resources? So your experience.
Yeah, look, we are working with a couple of clients who've got like absolutely massive applications, and Hot Design's working really well with them. The impact, like the size of the application, doesn't really have much impact on Hot Design as a whole. The number of resources can, like in the sense of when you go to the style picker, like if you've got a lot of styles there or a lot of color resources, for example, they can there's a lot in the list, so to speak. But in most cases, we've got like auto suggest boxes that allows you to easily filter those. There is an impact in terms of some of the hot reload kind of capability. So there are aspects of Hot Design. So for example, when you go, as Steve showed, where you go and apply an X name, where it does need to do a cycle back to hot reload and rebuild and stuff like that. And so there are definitely some latency associated with it being a slightly larger project. And what we'll see in Visual Studio 2026 is improved support for hot reload. So Microsoft's done a whole bunch of work to actually improve the hot reload experience, both for larger app, but also cross-platform applications to help improve the stability and the performance of that hot reload experience.
Yeah, indeed. So we have another question, but Andre, do you want to? Looks like you're having some issues with your mouse, maybe.
Yeah, it seems it's resources. Since that the camera is taking more of the resources, that's why I'm having this whenever I try to interact with things on the UI. You can continue with the questions. I'm gonna turn off the camera really quick just to see if that helps me with free some of the resources.
So here's a question from the chat room, and I'm going to open this up to Nick, Steve, Martin, whichever one of you wants to take this or know more about this. I don't know a whole lot about XAML Inflator. Do any of you?
I must confess, I don't. We use our own custom source generator for XAML, and in actual fact, what happens is Hot Design generates the XAML and persists that to obviously the XAML file, and then that XAML file then runs a source through a source generator that generates essentially C#, which then gets fed back and processed and loaded into memory in terms of the actual running application. So it does full round trip. And obviously there's a lot of optimizations we do in Hot Design, so we don't need to wait for that whole round trip every time you make an incremental change, because that would be rather painful. Like if you're making changes to a text on a text block, you don't want to wait on every character change that you make.
So you will not be left wanting. We have source generators. All right, Andres, you want to take another stab?
Yes, and I'm back. Yes, it's basically, as I mentioned, this is an old computer that I'm testing Linux on it. So performance-wise, this is not the best thing, but here we have the same application that we've seen before. Chef, in this case, we're talking about this custom control. This custom control is brought by LiveShard. This is Sam, as you mentioned. Any library that you have out there at the the .NET ecosystem, you can bring it to here and make it part of your application. Let me continue. Let me turn off the camera. I'm sorry for that. It's just seems to be
no, it's all good. You can be the voice of God.
So you already know my face. At least you have seen me through the rest of the presentation. And I want to show you really quick here is that if we make a selection of the component, we should be able to see all the different properties that this component has available. For this specific case, for the case of the grid of the chart, we are using a user control wrapping the actual external library, and what we're doing instead is that we are making available a couple of the properties that we can then from Hot Design modify. As we see, this is colors, and it will define the colors that are for each one of the categories. We could just pick one of this, but our suggestion is always to use properties that are coming from style. I'm gonna cheat, so I have the code here, so I'm gonna be filtering from the list so that it is faster and we don't have to wait. You don't have to wait time for me like finding the right property from the list. Remember that those lists, since it is a brush, is gonna be all the different brushes available in .NET plus all the different brushes that are part of your style. If you add the name, you start typing, you should be able to find them, select it, and you can see immediately as we move forward, the chart it has already used the values that we are expecting. This information that we see here is already, as we have seen in the past, is already synchronized on the SAML, and all these happen on Linux. So the problem that we saw at the beginning is mostly because of the computer is not the best one. Remember that the dream is that Linux can give you a good power with a very low hardware, and it actually did up to a point because the camera is actually consuming more. But on the Hot Design part, we could see how we could interact with a different UI, launch your application. You have Writer, you have Visual Studio Code, and you have all the powers that you get from Hot Design and Uno platform, as we've seen in the other different platforms. It's basically if you are on an operating system, we bring the productivity to the operating system where you are.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I love how the charts show up here. And actually, while you're doing it, the creator of Light Charts is here with us. Hello, Alberto. Alberto here had a question. I'll let Nick and others maybe weigh in. So my 2 cents is, yes, there is hot reload in .NET, but sometimes the joke is we call it like, lukewarm reload because it isn't hot all the time. So we do a lot of magic behind the scenes to make it really hot reload. So Nick, do you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. So in previous versions of Live.js, one of the limitations has been around the support for defining series and things like that. And yes, as they're now UI elements, they'll be more than welcome to come to the designer, basically. They should, out of the box, be supported in terms of being able to. We have an editor in the property grid that allows you to drill and do more complex editing of types and things like that. So definitely they'll be exposed there. But then once you started defining them, then yeah, there should be a drag and drop experience in the elements tree as well. So
yeah, awesome. All right, so time has been flying. So let's see if we can come full circle back to where we started. There. Okay. So hopefully in the last hour or so, you saw that we are not just, talking, and we're actually showing you. Some of it is high risk because this is all live. It's the dev experience that we're trying to showcase. So our point here is hopefully you see some of the promise. And here is the Chef's app, right? So that Steve and Andres showed you. It is a gorgeous app. It's real world, has tons of data, has tons of custom UI, user controls, MVUX pattern built in, has navigation and all of the complexities that you normally have in an app that's Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Linux. Don't trust anything we say. Go play with it yourself, right? So here's the QR code. Go look up the source code. Just run it yourself, and you'll see. Open it up in Hot Design. You can see all of that magic happening, right? So all of this that we are saying is us trying to bring productivity on top of Uno Platform. So Uno Platform will always be your cross-platform, go-to for next-gen .NET apps that just run everywhere. You saw the flexibility with IDEs as well, like Visual Studio on Windows, VS Code everywhere. Rider, you bring your IDE, but we can give you the extra hot sauce, and that's what Uno Platform Studio is. So hot reload that truly works, that's performant, hot design for all of your runtime design needs, and then Figma plugin to bring in all of your designs. And we are bringing a lot more things to Uno Platform Studio in the coming months, so please stay tuned. If you are using Uno Platform, we thank you for your patronage, but please talk to us. We are always listening on multiple fronts on socials as well as on feature requests. So please talk to us, give us feedback. If you are stuck, please don't be stuck alone. There's a lot of documentation. A lot of us are there in Discord trying to help you out. So please talk to us. But otherwise, thank you so much for spending an hour of your day with us. If you're watching live across all of the socials, thank you for your time. Thank you for your questions. These are a few places where you can go find us, right? So first up is, GitHub. That's where all of the source code is. That's where all of our engineers are. So give us issues and give us feedback. Discord is a great place for all of us to just hang out and chat and just, help each other out as we are building things. And for everything else, like platform.uno, that's where you can get started. That's where you can get the docs and all of the SDKs that you need to get going. Cross-platform .NET development is complex, but hopefully with a well-defined stack, with very well thought out tools on top of that stack, you can be very, very productive. So Nick, Steve, Martin, and Andres, I want to thank you for your time showing off some high-risk demos. This was fun, and thank you all across the chat room and across all the places that you have been watching. We appreciate your time. All right, and with that, that's the.
Didn't we say at the beginning that you had some giveaways?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you for reminding. Okay, so give me a second here. We have folks in the back channels trying to pick winners. Okay, so hopefully I'm saying the names right here. Gerardo Trota. Okay, you are one of the winners of Uno Platform Studio annual license. Pierre Oliver de Carvalho, you're another winner. And Lin Liu, right? So 3 of you are winners of Uno Platform Studio licenses. We will reach out to you, through email right after this webinar. But congratulations, and thank you for your questions. Thank you all, and thank you for the team for reminding me. I almost skipped a part, but you're lucky winners here. Thank you. So that's it from us, and hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your year. Go build amazing apps. Hopefully you have all the tooling needed to be super productive. So a big thank you from all of us here at Uno Platform, and we'll see you on the next webinar, the next live stream, the next coding session. So go be productive. Thank you.